Hello, hello. Good morning, everyone. Please. Good morning. Hello. Welcome. Feel free to keep sitting down. Don't worry, filter in. My name is Raina Bradford Jennings. My pronouns are she, her, and I serve on your board of trustees. Hello. Hey. Oh, look at this. I love this energy this morning. I am a fat black woman in my mid-30s, and I already said I serve on your board of trustees. Sorry about that. I wear glasses, have black hair, and a good 3C curl pattern. I'm wearing a golden length dress with a floral duster, which is like a really thin, very long sweater, if you don't know what a duster is. We're excited to be in community with you today. Please take a moment to silence your cell phones, move to a seat in the middle of your section if you are able, to leave the aisles open for newcomers and anyone with accessibility needs. If you're visiting for the first time, hi again. I think I met some of you already. Please stop by the welcome table at the very front by the front doors to pick up a visitor gift with more information about First UU. You can also find me after the service. Join us for coffee and conversation. And everyone is welcome to chat with me or another board member after the service as well. There's a lot going on here at First UU, so please see the order of service or this week's Sunday announcement email where you can read details. I do have two announcements to share with you all before we get started. One, the safety team is doing a building tour directly after the service. You can meet at that same welcome table by the front door. If you are interested in partaking, it should be less than an hour, and that building tour will help you know things of where all the emergency exits are, where any life-saving materials are, things like fire extinguishers, just really important stuff that's helpful to know. So anyone is welcome to join that. Very helpful if you also volunteer here or serve on any of our teams. And then secondly, if you or someone you know has been affected by the recent floods and storms, which I think a lot of us have, Team Rubicon is a veteran-led humanitarian organization that serves global communities before, during, and after disasters. They were deployed to Columbus, and the Columbus City Council and the Columbus Southeast Lions have been working with them to help people with free flood cleanup. They are still here through September 7th, and if you or someone you know needs this support, please reach out to the board or Tara Mullins-Kosme on the board who can help get you connected. And that's it for my announcements. Please enjoy service.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Marco Bellatini. I'm the Minister Emeritus here. My pronouns are he and him, and I'm 77 years old, and I'm wearing a black cap and a black shirt and a blue vest and a nice blue stole. We begin our time together by acknowledging that we are gathering on the stolen land of the Wyandot and the Miami, the Seneca, the Erie, the Shawnee, Delaware, and Cayuga people, many of whom were forcibly removed. We support the Native American Center of Central Ohio in their Land Back campaign, and we know that we have more to do to be in true relationship and solidarity with this land and those indigenous to it. The photo this morning is a photo I took of the Miamisburg Mound, which is just south of Dayton. It's the highest of the sacred mounds of the original nations in Ohio. We have more archaeological sites in Ohio than any other state. It was built by the Adena people at the same time as famous Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon was building the Hanging Gardens. Please now rise in body or spirit to sing hymn 66 in the Gray Hymn Book. It's a wonderful, joyful tune from early American singing, and if you don't know the melody, you'll pick it up fast.
Shining over golden land and sea, and the flowers in the hedgerow welcome butterfly and bee. Then my open heart is glowing, full of warmth for everyone, and I feel an inner beauty which reflects the summer sun. When the summer clouds above bring the long-awaited rain, and the thirsty soil is moistened, and the grass is green again, then I long for summer sunshine, but I know that clouds and tears are a part of life's refreshment, like the rainbow's hopes and fears. In the cool of summer evening, when the dancing insects play, and in garden, street, and meadow linger echoes of the day, then my heart is full of yearning, hopes and memories flood the whole of my being, reaching inwards to the corners of my soul.
Good morning. My name is Kathleen Fowler, and my pronouns are she and her, and I serve happily on your Board of Trustees. I'm a white woman in my mid-70s with short hair, and I have a blue dress on. We are here
In late August, on a warm summer day,
to celebrate the gift of life and awareness here and now,
to commit to living our lives in service to ever-unfolding truth,
to take responsibility for what we do,
and grow both in courage and hope.
May we hold love as the sacred ground of both our way and means.
Come, let us worship together
With story, song, breath, silence, body, heart, and mind. And it is now time for our children to meet Gus and Amber in the back to prepare to bring in the light. So everyone else, please turn to a neighbor. If you can find someone you don't know well, that's lovely. And introduce yourself. Come on back, folks. This is hard.
Sit down, sit down.
We light this symbol, this sign of our living tradition, with reverence for the truth. O light of life that lives within us and among us and between us, warm our community, shine in our minds, strengthen our hearts, illumine our way.
Thank you, Ted, for your help lighting our chalice this morning. Good morning! I'm Amber Scott, your Director of Religious Exploration, and my pronouns are she, they. I'm a white femme millennial with wild and wonderful wavy hair, and I'm wearing a black t-shirt that reads Black Lives Matter. Today's story is called Sometimes People March, written and illustrated by Tessa Allen. Sometimes ants march. Sometimes bands march. Sometimes people march. Marching is something people do together when they want to resist injustice or when they notice the need for change. People march for many reasons. People march for things they care about and people they love. People march for the health of their bodies and their communities and the world. People march for the freedom to love and live and learn. Sometimes people carry signs to share their stories of resistance. Act up, fight back, Black Lives Matter. Rise up, stop the war. Climate justice now, refugees welcome here. Access is a civil right. I am a man. We are the 99%. Picket ladies, tailors, strikers. Votes for women. March for our future. March for our lives. We will love and protect each other. People resist in many ways. Sometimes people resist with their voices. Show me what democracy looks like. They might resist with words or with songs or art. The way to right wrongs is to turn the light of truth upon them. Ida B. Wells. People resist with meetings. They resist by standing up or sitting down or taking a knee. It isn't always easy. Feet get tired, arms get tired, hearts and hopes get tired. Sometimes problems seem too big or complex. But we do not march alone. Ants are stronger together. Bands are louder together. And people are more powerful together. Sometimes from feelings of fear or anger or injustice comes the hope for change. Sometimes great change starts small with a brave question. Maybe your question. A question that calls people together. And together, we find the courage to march. The End. Sometimes people march. Marching is just one important way that we can work together to pursue justice and ensure that we can all be free. Please remain seated with hands over your hearts as we sing number 157, Step by Step, the Longest March, to sing our beloved children back to their families and out to class.
Step by step, the longest march can be won, can be won. Many stones can form an arch, singly none, singly none. When by union what we will can be accomplished still. Drops of water turn a mill, singly none, singly none.
Our Share of the Plate recipient for the months of July and August is First UU's very own Fund for Immigration Legal Assistance, or FILA, FILA. FILA is a legal defense fund which helps our neighbors to pay their immigration-related government fees, required medical exams, and expenses for legal representation. First UU created this program in 2018, and it has helped over 70 individuals and families in just this past year. In addition to passing the basket, you can text to give, scan the QR code, or visit firstcolumbus.org/donate. Thanks for your generosity, and let me add, as the grandchild, I should say, of immigrants, 4 of them from Italy, it took them 10 and 12 years to become citizens because they had to learn English, and in their case, learn how to read and write, Italian as well as English. It's not a quick process. I'm very glad that we have this particular program to help. So please be generous.
Today's pastoral listener is Barb Fiorini. Barb, would you please stand? If you have something on your mind or heart today, she will be in Beach Hall after the service and will be happy to listen. We have some joys and sorrows from our community to share with you this morning, and there are 3 caring cards to sign in Beach Hall after worship. And even if you don't know the person, please sign anyway. Congratulations to Reverend Kelly for celebrating her birthday, August 29th, and happy ordination anniversary, August 27th. Kelly was ordained here at First UU in 2022. We wish her all the very best. And healing thoughts go to Melissa Karras. Melissa was hospitalized recently for stress-related issues. She is now home. She's actually here, and she would appreciate cards. Healing thoughts also go to Bob Parks. Bob has experienced several falls and is now in First Community Care Center for rehabilitation. Bob is supported by his wife, Susan Parks, and he would appreciate cards.
I'm going to start the prayer and meditation part of this service with words by Dolly Parton. I hope people learn to love one another a little more than they do. And if I can be of help in that matter, I hope to be. She said that on December 3rd, 2020. Amen. Amen to a little more love for others and self, even on those days when I didn't sleep well and unfocused. Amen to a little more love for others and self, even when the countless injustices in the world exhaust my sagging spirit. Amen to a little more love for others and self, even when I almost lose myself in the distractions of on-screen culture. Amen to a little more love for others and self, even on summer days like today when I just want to leave schedules behind and go sit by a lake and stare at it. Amen to a little more love for others and self, even when I am grieving and my grief sometimes fills me to my very edge. Amen to a little more love for others and self, even when I feel angry about the perilous state of so many of the world's children. Oh, may we all, as Dolly Parton said so well, help each other to learn to love one another better than we ever have before, by caring for each other in both deed and word in the coming days. It's clear to me, despite summer's present blue sky beauty, the world is very tender and very fragile right now. So come, O love. Transform yourself into this silence and shelter us all with a time of respite and deliberate breathing and simple rest. 1 full minute. That tune, by the way, was by the Unitarian composer Bela Bartok from Eastern Europe. This first reading is a poem I saw Emmett Till this week at the grocery store by Eve W. Ewing, and it was written in 2019.
I saw Emmett Till this week at the grocery store, looking over the plums one by one, lifting each to his eyes and turning it slowly, a little earth, checking the smooth skin for pot marks and rot or signs of unkind days or people, then sliding them gently into the plastic, whistling softly, reaching with a slim woolen arm into the cart. He first balanced them over the wire before realizing the danger of bruising and lifting them back out, cradling them in the crook of his elbow until something harder could take that bottom space. I knew him from his hat, one of those fine pork pie numbers they used to sell on Roosevelt Road. It had lost its feather, but he had carefully folded a dollar bill and slid it between the ribbon and the felt, and it stood at attention. He wore his money upright and strong. He was all ready to have the checkout by the time I caught up with him. I called out his name, and he spun like a dancer, candy bar in hand, looked at me quizzically for a moment before remembering my face. He smiled. "Well, hello, young lady." "Hello, so chilly today. Should have worn my warm coat like you." "Yes, so cool for August in October. How are things going for you?" "Oh," he sighed and put the candy on his belt. "It goes. It goes."
The second reading is from Rod Serling's commencement address at the University of Southern California, March 17, 1970. It's simply a national acknowledgement that in any kind of priority, the needs of human beings must come first. Poverty is here and now. Hunger is here and now. Racial tension is here and now. Pollution is here and now. These are the things that scream for a response. And if we don't listen to that scream, and if we don't respond to it, we may well wind up sitting amidst our own rubble, looking for the truck that hit us or the bomb that pulverized us. Get the license number of whatever it was that destroyed the dream. And I think we will find that the vehicle was registered in our own name. You will hear a tune that we'll sing later. We're not singing now. So this has been some August, hasn't it? Tornadoes, several of them, here in Columbus, and something called a derecho. Trees down, roofs torn off, sirens when they finally decide to turn them on. Electricity off, signal lights not working. Spoiled food in warming refrigerators. Lucky me, I missed that. I was in Chicago visiting my brother Kevin, who was in from Taiwan. We wanted to navigate and thrill to the great art museum there together, and we did. But on the way back, my luck reversed. The tornado and winds that knocked out Gary, Indiana for weeks also knocked down one of those power line towers across the freeway that we were on. I was on a bus, and we were stuck there for 5.5 hours until they could move it. Oh, and the bathroom in the bus didn't work. But the bus driver didn't know that when we left, so stuck on the freeway, we all had to deal with our bodily needs in rather unpleasant public ways out there amongst the big rigs. When I finally got home about 13 hours later, fallen trees blocked many of the roads in Columbus, and the bus had to take a very unusual route to drop us off. I'm telling you, it took me days to recover from this. Another torrential downpour a few days later caught me out at a dance club with some friends. Sudden thunder, lightning, and a downpour. Then they had to throw us out because of a smoking electrical fire, throw us out into the storm. The downpour not only soaked me good, going over my ankles on the sidewalk, the water was so deep, but as I drove home in my wet car down Broad Street, the water was up past my hubcaps. The following day, I recoiled from all these news reports of attempts to block elections in November or a tantrum threat to actually tear down the Kennedy Center in D.C. In our neighboring city of Springfield, threats to deport the beloved Haitian immigrants come from the national government every day, which forces them to wear ankle monitors to always keep track of them. An unspeakable human rights violation as far as I'm concerned. And of course, in the middle of all of this, the reality that impacted many of us most this week was the death of the truly remarkable Dolly Parton, a death which evoked an outpouring of shock and grief like nothing I have ever seen on social media before. The endless tributes were moving, eliciting tears and poems, memories, countless videos. I even posted one of her singing a duet of the song Everyday People with the famous Muppet Kermit the Frog, which I had to say made me tear up. I read truly remarkable stories about her book distribution, of her offering financial aid to families wiped out by storms, and so much more. I also found it wonderful to learn that her personal driver of 30 years was a trans man whom she absolutely adored. A great grief moved through millions of hearts this week, this last full week of August. Grief mixed with gratitude for a life well lived, extraordinarily well. The day after she died, as you know, the actor Tim Curry died. He was a film star known to almost everyone in my generation, who, among his work in many other films, was famously the lead of the Rocky Horror Picture Show, a cult film classic, which has played nonstop somewhere in the world for 3 generations now. And others died this week too, 2 kings in different nations, a famous artist. A relatively overwhelming August, I'd say. Of course, and now we're sliding into the sermon. Of course, other human beings, not terribly famous, probably not known to many of you at all, also died recently. Trey Reed, Kyle Basinga, Juliana Nita, Tonea Miller, Tasia Fortune, Isaac Carlos Aguirre, many others actually, too many to name. All of them Black people, men, women, some trans, mostly young. They were found hanging in trees. Law enforcement folks immediately tried to claim suicide. The families, however, are justly pushing back, claiming they were lynched. Their families knew them. I trust the families. And nobody can claim that Robert Elliott and Maurice Isaac ended their own lives because they were found wrapped up in tarps and burned to death, which even law enforcement had to admit they couldn't have done to themselves. As I certainly hope you know, there is a long history of lynching terror in the United States. In fact, the single most moving public monument I have ever seen in my life in this entire nation is not in Washington, D.C. It's the Monument to Peace and Justice in Montgomery, Alabama. This is also known as the Lynching Memorial. It's the single most moving thing I've ever seen in this country. Please go if you can. This is a magnificent structure built across 6 acres, which lists on long metal pylons hanging from a high ceiling the names of every Black person ever lynched in every single county of the United States, including many Ohio counties, including Coshocton and Athens. You will also find little biographical stories on plaques lower to the ground as you descend along the path under these huge pylons into the depth of the monument. For example, you'll find a story about one woman who went to the authorities to complain about the fact that her husband had been lynched, so they lynched her too for complaining. Little 2-sentence devastations like that, hundreds and hundreds of them around the monument. My friend and brother Doug took me to see this incredible monument for my 70th birthday. Really, one of the greatest gifts I've ever received. And I have to say, I've rarely wept so publicly and loudly in my life, almost the whole day. Much of the positive spin on U.S. history I was taught sweetly in school years ago cracked into pieces that day, and I saw the raw truth staring back at me in the form of names, real human lives, whose lives were as important to them as my life is to me. Now, some of you are going to recognize that I say that phrase a lot, and I've said it in many sermons, and I say it in individual conversations. For the record, it's based on the reliable, authentic teachings of the ancient teacher from the Galilee, as sifted out from the biblical inerrancy doctrines of many conservative churches. I'm talking here about the amazing scholarly work of competent people like John Dominic Crossan, who I've been lucky enough to work with in my life. The phrase itself is not from any of the Gospels, but one that I crafted when I was teaching a critical understanding of the Gospels in seminary. I was offering my students a distillation of many of the authentic parables and proverbs that actually have come down through it to us. I think it fairly represents a single major recurring theme in all of the stories that Jesus told to his gatherings of people around the lake there. To wit, everyone's life is just as important to them as your life is to you, the poor, the sick, the stranger, the different. It also serves as a one-sentence summary of our venerable universalist tradition, I think. As I summed up that universalist tradition the last time I preached here, there is no hell after death, and thus there should be no hell before death either. Something that it's our responsibility to ensure, not by our beliefs or by our unbeliefs, but by our actions in the world. Our children's story this morning depicted one way to do that, as Dolly Parton's generous, supportive life behind the songs also demonstrated. And even as I speak now here, the Reverend Joel Miller, who grew up in this congregation and who was my intern in Hayward, California many decades ago, is in Springfield, Ohio right now, joining many other clergy in protesting the national government's treatment of Haitian immigrants there, forced to wear those ankle monostoles. Now, into our religious tradition that I've just been describing. Back in 1949, the year of my birth, stepped a man in his 20s named Rod Serling. He and his wife, Carol, the granddaughter of the first president of Ohio State University, were members of this congregation during the ministry of Jack Hayward, a man I much admired myself. He and I used to always exchange letters while he was still living. He was also the minister who would eventually give the memorial and eulogy in upstate New York, where Rod was buried when he died. In the very year after Rod and Carol moved out of Ohio to Westport, Connecticut, a young teen, 14 years old, named Emmett Till, was lynched in a small town of Mississippi. This was 71 years ago, on August 28th. The two men tortured Emmett, beat him to death, because they said a white woman claimed the kid had flirted with her. Then they tossed his broken body into the rolling Tallahatchie River. His weeping, angry mother held his open casket memorial up in Chicago, where he had been born. She wanted the thousands who walked by that casket to see the visual result of race hatred with their own eyes. Many historians feel that the result of his murder and that open casket memorial and the later not surprising acquittal by an all-white jury, of course, of the two men who killed him was the initiating spark of the modern civil rights movement. A few years later, in the then popular Look magazine, which my parents used to read, the two acquitted men actually openly admitted that they had tortured and killed Emmett Till, because apparently nothing legal could happen to them after the acquittal, something I really don't understand. Rod Serling was outraged and angry when he heard about Emmett Till. He already knew that that kid's life at age 14 was just as important to him as his own 30-year life was important to him. Serling thrived on the message of universal innate equality of all persons that Jack Hayward had reminded him of week after week at the old Unitarian building, which was down by the campus back then. And later, he and Carol continued with their expressed religious faithfulness by attending the Unitarian Church in Westport, Connecticut, where they lived. So Rod was really angry, and he decided to act out on that anger. He wrote a television play in 1956 to try and tell Emmett Till's painful story. On an hour-long anthology series called the U.S. Steel Hour. Maybe some of you remember it. But though Rod was sophisticated enough to restrain his writing just a bit to get it past the censors, The censors were not fooled. They changed the teleplay so much that it no longer bore any resemblance to the actual history. White supremacists, you see, had gotten wind of the script, I wonder how, and sent warning letters to the sponsor. And so they censored it so much that it lost all reference to the original. You wouldn't want to ruffle any feathers, you know, by bringing up unpleasant things, the sponsors were basically saying. So Rod tried again. Playhouse 90, something I remember watching myself, another anthology show. Again, the sponsors and CBS executives slashed the script, sent it back 100 years in history with not one single detail being the same. But it did at least deal with the concepts of bigotry in a way that moved some people. Still, Serling felt completely defeated. He had tried really, really hard, got the pushback. Serling finally realized that sometimes you have to say things slant. That is, you have to tell a story in such a way that they cannot deflect the direct message because you're telling the story in an indirect way, ways they do not recognize on the surface. Racism, he felt, is so central to life and money-making in the United States of America that it ruthlessly protects itself from any criticism or even being named openly. And slowly but surely, that is when the concept of an anthology series called The Twilight Zone began to evolve in his mind. Half-hour episodes would be much shorter and pithier than Playhouse 90's hour-long plays. And as you know, Twilight Zone became a sensation. The musical theme of the series by Morris Constant is still used today to indicate any eerie or mysterious thing. Da, 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 da. And the series itself has been on TV for generations in syndication on repeat forever and ever, amen, with Twilight Zone marathons every year on 3-day holiday weekends. Only one episode can actually be said to be Serling's symbolic reflection on the effect of Emmett Till's death, and that is, I Am the Night, Color Me Black, from season 5. Till's name is not mentioned per se, but the emotional response to his death is well preserved symbolically, using this symbolic imagery found in the Gospels of the sun no longer shining following the Roman government's execution of Jesus. Serling borrowed that imagery directly and openly by saying that the sun went dark over Vietnam, over the Berlin Wall, over Birmingham, Alabama, and so forth. And those of you who know the show will remember that the majority of Serling's episodes in particular address bigotry, systems of hatred, arrogant assumptions of superiority. The whole series, in some way, was his response to Emmett Till's death. I was deeply moved to find that poem written by the poet Eva Ewing, which imagines Emmett Till still alive, not dead, grown up, sampling summer plums in a store in Chicago. It's a tender story, imagining him older, having an ordinary conversation with the cashier. It's heartbreaking, really. But you can tell the same poetic story about any of the names I mentioned earlier. Maybe Trey Reed, grown old. Finished school, eating juicy peaches, the juice sliding down lips and chin. Or maybe you can see Tessia Fortune. You can see her, can't you? sharing ice cream with her best friend in the hot August sun without a care in the world, just walking home from church. They all should be alive in a world where their lives are as important to them as our lives are to us, or your lives are to me, or my life is to you. I began this sermon with a list of August troubles, partially mine, partially troubles we all shared. Look, the world has never existed without troubles. Buddha used to tell us that that was going to be forever true. Jesus said the same thing. 1,000 other teachers and poets. But Rod Serling showed us you have to deal with those troubles ethically with strength and accountability and hope, even when you have been pushed back hard and thoroughly by the powers that be. Even the powers that be seem to have all the visible power, but you have to respond anyway. You have to use the powers that you have that they don't recognize. Soul power, to use a term Martin Luther King Jr. used to like. So let me end with Rod Serling's words again, asking you to pay special attention to his very last words, which clearly ask us to take responsibility ourselves for remaking the world from hell into something closer to heaven, a place of more justice and more love and more dreams and more amen, amen, amen. Step by step, the longest march can be won. Can be won. Stress that word. It's simply a national acknowledgement that in any kind of priority, the needs of human beings must come first. Poverty is here and now. Hunger is here and now. Racial tension is here and now. Pollution is here and now. These are the things that scream for a response. And if we don't listen to that scream, if we don't respond to it, we may well wind up sitting amidst our own rubble looking for the truck that hit us or the bomb that pulverized us. Get the license number of whatever it was that destroyed the dream. And I think we will find that the vehicle was registered in our own name. Step by step, the longest march. Dream again. Repair the world, one step at a time. Some August, right? Amen. Would you please turn to 134 in the gray hymn books and sing with me, Our World is One World. I love the tune of this and I like the words very much.
Just like a ship that bears us all, where fear and greed make many hulls, but where our hearts can hear a different call.
Please, if you want, join hands, and if you don't want, that's fine too. Not everyone likes to do that, but if you'd like. The benediction today consists of words spoken by Dolly Parton. Find out who you are, and then do it on purpose. And if you're going to dream, put some wings on those dreams, and feet and hands. Think about what you want to do, then go. And make that happen. And now let us extinguish our chalice together by saying these words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of vision. As we go forth, let us heal and transform ourselves and our world through vision and love. Please be seated.